Hi class, good morning. Today we're going to be doing our lesson about vocabulary for the read aloud from yesterday, which was called Marching with Aunt Susan. Let's get started. So the first vocabulary word, there's actually two on this page of the lesson, of the read aloud, excuse me. The first word was haul, and the second word was auction. So we're going to look a little closer by rereading the parts with those words today to try and determine the meaning. So it said, it's a long haul up that steep hill. It's a long haul when you've been alive for 100 years. It's a long haul when you've had the life that Lillian has and walked so far in her shoes. So we know that Lillian is walking up this hill to try and go vote, something that she has wanted to do and has had faced many obstacles to doing for years. And she's saying that it's a long haul up that steep hill. That makes me think that haul might mean something like a long walk or a long journey. It also makes me think that haul means something about needing a lot of strength or a lot of energy, or maybe more like perseverance. So we'll look at the real definition in a second, but this is how I started thinking about what this word might mean, and hopefully you guys are doing the same thing when you encounter new words. The second vocabulary word on this page was auction. We have not talked about that word before as a class, so let's reread that section. Lillian sees her great-great-grandparents, Elijah and Sarah. Here's Elijah and here's Sarah. They are standing side by side on an auction block. Sarah is holding their baby, Edmund. They are being sold as slaves in front of the very same Alabama courthouse where rich white men and no one else are allowed to vote. So auction, they're standing on an auction block. So they're standing on something that has to do with an auction, and they're being sold because they're slaves. So an auction makes me think that it has to do with selling something. Let's see what the definitions are for both of these words. So haul means to pull or drag with a lot of strength. So they're saying that for Lillian, it was a long haul up that steep hill. So she was pulling herself up the hill. It required a lot of strength. And auction, yep, it has to do with selling things. And so an auction is a sale in which goods or property is sold to the highest bidder. So in this case, the property are the people, because when someone is a slave, they are someone else's property. Okay, so we have two definitions so far. The next vocabulary word was servitude. Let's reread the part that has the word servitude. The law is the 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which says that American citizens' right to vote shall not be denied or abridged on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. So I know that serving something is when you give something, or maybe if you're serving someone, you're doing something for them. And the 15th Amendment says that American citizens have the right to vote no matter what, shall not be denied, so it won't be limited by their race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Servitude means being enslaved. So the 15th Amendment said that American citizens should not have their rights limited based on their race, their color, or whether they used to be a slave. So that's an important law right there. All right, and the last word was actually in the text twice. That word was registrar. The first one is here. He is telling about those tests that he was forced to take when he tried to vote, and about the sneer on the registrar's face when he asked how many bubbles are in a bar of soap. So her uncle Levi was trying to vote, but he was forced to take a test, and the registrar was the person who asked a question on the test. So the registrar has something to do with testing with voting. Let's look at this other definition. As she stands there, she sees herself trying to register to vote for the first time. She sees the blank piece of paper on which she must write down a section of the U.S. Constitution, word for word, as is being mumbled by the registrar, a test she cannot pass. So again, the registrar is someone that's overseeing the tests when people are trying to vote. So a registrar is someone in charge of a voting location or in charge of voting in some way. Okay, we've come up with 4 definitions now for these 4 vocabulary words from our read aloud. Let's talk about today's assignment. Today's assignment is called Lillian's Right to Vote vocabulary assignment. So the first step is to watch this YouTube lesson. So if you're doing that right now, you have done the first step. And then you'll answer the questions below to show that what you know about the definitions that we just went over. And then number 5 is to write your own sentence using 1 new vocabulary word. So quickly, let's review today's definitions. Haul is to pull or drag with a lot of strength. Auction is a sale in which goods or property are sold to the highest bidder. Servitude means being enslaved. And registrar means someone in charge of a voting location. So for today's assignment, you need those 4 definitions for the first 4 questions. You can now fill those in, and don't forget number 5. Choose one of our new 4 vocabulary words and use it in a sentence. This is to show that you have learned at least 1 definition today, and you get to choose which word you learned, which word you can most easily use in a sentence. And remember, we're not just going to repeat a sentence from the read aloud. That's someone else's sentence that they already wrote in a book. You're going to write your own sentence, and it should have a period at the end, a capital letter at the beginning, and be your best work. If it's not, then tomorrow when I'm reviewing your assignments, I will ask you to do it again. If you have questions about this, you can shoot me a text or call me before 5 p.m. today. And let's just remember that when we are making our sentence today, let's say our vocabulary word was microphone. I could say, when Miss Land here was leading an assembly, she used a microphone, right? I wrote a whole sentence, I made something up, and I used the word in a new sentence with almost a new story. That's what you're doing today with either haul, auction, servitude, or registrar. Using any one of those words to make 1 sentence. You get to choose. All right, you guys, can't wait to see your work. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.